Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. Prathomate moi Borokha apnalok সকলোকে আমাৰ চেনেললৈ স্বাগতম জনাইছো as we are always trying to provide you some informative content so that those who are watching our videos, they get benefited from our content. And today we are having conversation with the assistant professor of Department of Political Science, Guwahati University, Dr. Vikas Tripathi sir, and we will be talking about how to prepare for NET JRF examination and many more things about this examination. Sir, welcome you.
Thank you so much, Varsha, and I am so pleased to be invited by your channel. You are really doing great, and first of all, I would like to wish you all the best in this endeavor. And it is good that one of the students of department has taken up this challenge of doing some video blogs and also engaging in constructive activities that can help students at large. Thank you so much, Varsha, indeed.
Okay, sir. So my first question to you is, what is NET JRF examination?
Actually, Varsha, NET JRF examination is an examination that is conducted by University Grant Commission, that is UGC. It is held twice a year, and all those students who are in MA, who are pursuing MA, and here we are talking about social science in general and political science in particular, who are in MA are eligible to appear for this examination. It happens twice a year, but since the COVID struck the globe, so we have been witnessing bit irregularities. Once a student clears NET examination, that is NET National Eligibility Test, he is eligible to be appointed as assistant professor in colleges. So there are two levels in the same exam. One, if the cutoff is bit low, he gets NET. If the cutoff is bit higher, so the student gets JRF, which is Junior Research Fellowship. So this is important for all MA students who are pursuing political science, that they appear for this examination. It is not only about giving an eligibility to be appointed as assistant professor, but most importantly, this examination is a confidence booster. And if a student clears JRF, that means if a student attains good rank, he's eligible for fellowship, and fellowship really gives wings to the research scholars, and you get admission in PhD, for instance, and you have a fellowship, because you can draw fellowship only if you have a PhD. So if you can draw fellowship, then it really contributes to the quantitative and qualitative improvement of your PhD thesis, because the amount given by UGC is very decent, something around 35 to 40,000 per month, and a student is eligible to draw a fellowship for around 5 years. So you can very well understand how it makes a student Atmanirbhar in his research, and also contributes to the quantity and quality of research being undertaken by any university.
Yes, so it is a very good thing for a student that qualifying the NET JRF examination, one student can be Atmanirbhar. The second question is, what are the criteria for appearing this examination?
So as far as eligibility criteria for this examination is concerned, students in their second semester are eligible to appear for this examination, and the results, or what you call as the NET or JRF certificate, is issued generally within the 6 months of the conduct of this examination.
Okay, so thank you, sir. And the one thing we would love to know, that what is your experience with this NET JRF examination?
Okay, Varsha, I want to make one thing very clear, which is that this examination is not at all tough. And I'm telling you from my own experience, because this examination just requires a dedicated preparation for around 90 to 100 days. That is around, if you can prepare for 3 to 4 months, you have an edge. So first of all, this isn't a tough examination. And second, and which is equally significant point, is that generally those students who prepare for this examination, they assume that MA studies and NET preparation go in opposite direction,
Yeah.
which is not at all true.
Mm.
If you are thorough with your MA course structure, you would be in a better position to appear for this examination. So the first point in regard to my experience, which I want to share with you, is that we were very punctual with our classes. We used to read all the study materials which were circulated to us, because MA study materials contributes and complements the preparation of this examination. So I'll give you one example. Like, we all study political theory in MA first semester and MA second semester in Western political thought. Now, there are good number of questions from political theory and Western political thought. So if you are regular for these classes, if you read the study material, of course it would help in your level of preparation. Third thing which I want to say about my experience is that generally we think that questions are factual in nature, but this is not true. Questions are mostly analytical in nature, and that is why it requires an in-depth understanding and in-depth reading, which only comes through your intense involvement in MA reading. So first and foremost thing that you need to keep in mind is that you have to be very dedicated to your MA study as well. Apart from your MA classes, the readings which are circulated, you need to have a strategy for preparing for NET JRF examination. 3 to 4 months. 4 months of intensive preparation is more than enough. 4 months and around 4 to 5 hours intense preparation.
So actually what we need is the concept of our syllabus.
Yeah.
Also, what for this examination, why should an MA student prepare for it?
Oh, this is a very interesting question. Why should an MA student appear for this examination? Of course, motivation matters most. And these days, students are looking for career. When they enter into universities to pursue their MA and PhD, one thing that really is at the very center of the imagination is what after MA. So when I talk to you, for instance, ki Varsha, what would you do after MA, or Anandita, or anyone else? So they always come to me for career counseling, and if you are pursuing your MA and if you have a NET immediately after you pass your MA, then it gives you an edge to your career. You may think in terms of becoming an assistant professor in different colleges. You may think in terms of doing PhD from any reputed university. And third is, of course, is a motivation booster. It's a national level examination that one clears. So it gives one a tremendous amount of confidence and self-esteem that he has done something during his MA days.
So one important question, that is how to prepare for this examination. I mean, how a student can prepare for this NET JRF examination.
Okay, this is the question that is asked often. How should we prepare for this examination? But before that, I would like your viewers to understand one thing, that this examination, NET JRF examination, is conducted collectively. Those who have higher merit, they get JRF. Those who score a bit low, they get NET. And so you have to understand that your target should be JRF. Your target should be that you get higher marks. So if you ask about strategy, I always say to students that there are two papers in this examination, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 has 50 questions and paper 2 has 100 questions. So in all you have 150 questions. So if whenever we talk about strategy, we need to be very concerned about what is expected from the examination. What is it that the examination wants from us? So the first thing that a student should know is that confidence matters equally in preparation. The first thing, he should be very clear about it, that content and confidence go together. So whatever you are reading in your syllabus, you have to be very confident. And second thing is, set the target right. So you may ask, what can be the target, sir? And I would say that if you are eyeing a JRF and nobody goes to prepare for this examination keeping net in mind, everybody thinks that he has to clear the JRF. So if you are eyeing JRF, you should be very clear about two things. First, that it requires an even preparation. So here we are meeting to discuss the preparation for political science, but there is paper 1 also, and which is common to all subjects of social science. So you need to have an even preparation of paper 1 and paper 2, and which means that you should be at least in a position to mark 35 out of 50 questions correct in paper 1. That should be your target. You may be somewhere between 30 to 35, but you should be in a position to mark 35 out of 50. That means around 70% questions in paper 1 and around 70% questions in paper 2. So if you target 70% in paper 1, 70% in paper 2, you would be in a position to be very sure about your JRF, because even if you clear net, it doesn't give you fellowship. And if you need fellowship, if you need admission in PhD, JRF is of course given preference. As I said already, that in many universities, in entrance, the students who have JRF are exempted from appearing for written entrance test. They are directly called for interviews. There are many universities, and even interview board sometimes give preference to students who have JRF, because these students come up after fighting a national level examination, after clearing a national level examination. Now the second part of his strategy is event preparation. What do I mean by event preparation? So when I say event preparation, you have to keep in mind that if you are dedicating 120 days and 5 hours a day, you don't need to study 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours. That is a myth. You just have a strategy, be confident about it, be clear with the content that you want to read, and go for event preparation. So you do paper 1, daily dedicate 1 hour for paper 1, that is fine, because there are portions like data interpretation, logical reasoning, that involves a lot of engagement by students, solving questions and doing rough work. But in paper 2, if you are able to dedicate 4 hours for 120 days, that means if you are dedicating 4 hours for 4 months, you certainly get JRF. Now let's come to the execution aspect of it. So it is a threefold strategy: read, revise, and solve question papers. Now what does this read, revise, and solve question paper means? Now you have to understand that this examination, the syllabus is very broad. There is comparative politics, there is political theory, there is public administration, there is Indian constitution, there is theories of international relations, there is foreign policy, there is political thought in ancient India, political thought in modern India, there is Western political thought. So the syllabus is very broad. So first of all, you need to know that you would not be in a position to mug up everything. So you have to come to terms with this aspect, that this examination requires analytical skill. This examination requires a skill which checks your understanding of politics. It doesn't require you to be a Maggadas. That means you just mug up everything and just go and vomit. That is not possible, because the nature of questions that you see in paper 2 it varies. There are very few questions which are direct and of factual nature. There are questions which are based on assertion and reasoning. There are questions which are totally analytical in nature. So the first thing is that you have to complete all parts of the syllabus. Every theme, every sub-theme has to be touched. Second thing is that if the syllabus is so broad, do not at all try to learn by heart. Try to understand. And that is why I say that if you are involved in your MA courses, if you are doing your MA seriously and sincerely, you would be in a sense in a better position to tick the analytical question. So the first thing is reading the whole syllabus. Second thing is revising, and the third thing is solving. Now, how to go about it? What we do, suppose Varsha, I teach sometimes Indian foreign policy and Indian politics. So I ask the student to read something on the Indo-US relations. What happens is students read and then they move on to next topic. But this is not helpful for NET preparation. Here, reading and revision should go hand in hand. You should read daily, you should revise daily. The syllabus is so broad that in 4 months you have to read the whole syllabus at least 2 times, and you have to revise the whole syllabus at least 3 times. If you are not in a position to revise the syllabus, then certainly your preparation would be very weak. So you should daily read, and this is what I am very sure about, that you should daily read around 50 pages on daily basis, and you should daily revise around 60 pages, and it is not tough. So even if you are a slow reader, in 2 hours at the most, in 2 hours you can read around 50 pages, or if you can take 2.5 hours, and in around 1 hour revise, and daily you should solve for half an hour questions. Remember that reading, continuous reading, consistent revision, and checking your preparation through solving question is the key to this examination. For half an hour daily, try to solve 30 questions. If you are not following this strategy about reading, revision and solving questions simultaneously, then you would never be in a position to check your preparation. So for instance, I'll give you one example. A student started with political theory, and he started with nature of political theory, then he moved on to after 7 days to theory of justice. So when he moves on to theory of justice, he should again revise whatever he has done about the nature of political theory. For 2.5 hours he should study something new, and for at least 1 hour he should revise what he has read previously, and for around half an hour he should solve question papers. Second thing, one has to keep solving the paper 1 simultaneously. So the practical aspect of strategy is only reading, revising and solving question paper. Now there is one more thing which I want to make very clear, that when I say you have to study 4 hours a day, many students feel that sir, 4 hours a day, so I would just study for 4 hours a day. No, this doesn't mean that. That means that there would be days you would not be able to read anything. There are MA exams, for instance, semester exams are there, and you might not be able to prepare for that examination. So you start preparing for 6 hours, and sometimes you may read even for 8 hours, sometimes you may read 2 hours, but do not read less than, try to be on the safe side and read 6 hours, because there would be days when your relatives are visiting, when you have some work at home, you would not be in a position to read. Now, one more thing, that if you are having a strategy of 120 days, study only for 100 days. 20 days should only be dedicated to continuous revision and solving of questions. 20 days you should turn yourself into a machine who is mechanically solving all the papers that exist under the sky. All the papers, previous year question paper, there are question papers available in the market, model question paper, solve all those questions papers, and that would give you some, that would, if you are able to, complete your syllabus, reading and revision in 100 days, and dedicate the rest of 20 days in complete solving of question paper and revision. So for last 20 days, in one day you may have to revise around 100 pages, 150 pages, because revision is not like reading. Reading, you dedicate yourself in slow manner, and your reading speed may be 20 pages an hour or 30 pages an hour, but in revision, when it comes, you just look at the significant points, important issues, and flip through the pages. So you have to understand that out of 120 days, the reading, revising, and solving strategy is for 100 days. For 20 days, you need to just focus on solving as many questions as possible and revising as fast as possible. One more thing I want to say: read fast. And this I say to all my MA students, that do not read slow. Students always are under an impression that if you want to understand something, you need to read slow. No, that's a myth. You read 5 pages, you read 20 pages in 30 minutes or an hour, and then revise 5 times rather than reading 20 pages in 5 hours. So your reading speed should be high. It makes you more confident, it makes you more focused, it makes you more analytical, and it doesn't make you what I call a person who is just into mugging up. So mugging up is not required. This examination is a very different kind of examination. It requires you to be confident, punctual, consistent, coherent. It requires you to prepare on daily basis for 4 hours at an average for 120 days, and you would surely get NET and JRF if you follow this. This is my view.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So they are an important strategy for qualifying NET JRF examination, reading, revising, and solving the questions paper. And the second thing is which basic book we should consult for qualifying this examination.
Yeah, that is generally asked. Which basic book should we refer for this examination? And I have some list of books. But before that, I want to make one thing very clear, and this I am saying again and again: be thorough with whatever you are reading in your MA. So, for instance, you are such a bright student. When you were in MA, no, you have just passed, and when you were in MA, you must have read political thought in modern India and must have referred to some books. Similarly, for political theory, Indian government and politics. So, the first thing is that be very thorough with whatever material is circulated for different papers during your MA days. They help you most. Now, once you have decided that 70%, 70% for paper 1 and paper 2, there are certain basic texts that you need to refer. Now, the first thing is that, so for instance, what are the major portions in UGC NET JRF examination? There is political theory, there is Western political thought, there is political thought in India, ancient India, modern India, and medieval India. There is comparative politics, there is foreign policy, there is public administration, there is theories of international relations. Now, these are some of the broad areas, if you see, or what you call as the broad units from where the questions are asked in UGC NET. So, one of the area which from where most analytical question comes in UGC NET exams for political science is political theory. And this is a core paper in MA political science syllabus also. And you don't read too hi-fi stuff for NET JRF examination. First of all, be thorough with the reading which is circulated in your MA course. Second, read Andrew Haywood political theory, O.P. Gaba political theory, and Andrew Haywood political ideologies. These 3 books are really very helpful. And from here, most of the analytical questions are covered if you are very thorough with this book. Now, then comes the second thing is Western political thought. Now, Western political thought, generally the questions are not so analytical. And if you read this book by Shefali Jha, Western political thought, I think that is very helpful for your preparation. This is a book that starts from Plato and ends with Marx. And it's written in a very lucid language, and it covers almost all the concepts related to different political thinkers from Western tradition. So it's a very good book. One can refer to it. Then comes Political Thought in India. There are two books which are important. One is by Himanshu Roy, Political Thought in India, which starts from ancient India to modern India and covers almost all the thinkers. And the second book is by Bidyut Chakravarti. Both of them are good. You can choose either of the two. Fourth is Indian politics. Now, Indian politics, the syllabus is very broad because there are questions from Indian Constitution. There are questions from Indian government and politics and political processes. So here one has to be very careful. First of all, there's a book on Indian Constitution by Subhash Kashyap, Our Constitution, or the Constitution of India. If you can read that book back to back, it would be very helpful. Second, there is a book by Nirja Gopal Jayal and Pratap Bhanu Mehta, which is very helpful for your political processes part, the institution part, and the political ideas in Indian politics part, and which is Oxford Companion to Politics in India by Nirja Gopal Jayal and Pratap Bhanu Mehta. Now, then there are a lot of questions on theories of international relations. Now, if you look into the question paper, you would find that the questions from theories of international relations and political theory part are very analytical in nature, and it involves intense engagement. So for theories of international relations, I think two books are really good. One is The Globalization of World Politics by Baylis and Smith, and the second is Global Politics by Andrew Haywood. From public administration, direct questions are asked. The nature of question is not so analytical. Some questions are of course analytical, but most of the questions are direct and factual in nature. And for that, the book Public Administration by Rumki Basu is very helpful. For comparative politics, again, you can refer to Politics by Andrew Haywood, and then there's a simple textbook on comparative politics by S.N. Ray that is very helpful for solving the traditional questions which are asked from comparative politics. And then the last portion is on foreign policy. For foreign policy, one has to be abreast of the latest developments on foreign policy in India. One can follow various internet YouTube channel. One can read the articles published in either in the Indian Express or the Hindu. One should be reading newspaper daily, I assume. Apart from that, there are two books which are very important. One is the Oxford Handbook of Indian Foreign Policy by David Malone and C. Raja Mohan, which is very helpful to understand the contemporary issues involved in Indian foreign policy. And the second book by J. Bandyopadhyay, The Making of India's Foreign Policy, is very helpful for traditional portions. Now, the books which I have just listed above is just based on my own experience, and these books were helpful for my preparation, like the one by Nirja Jayal and Pratap Bhanu Mehta, or the Subhash Kashyap book on Indian Constitution is very helpful. So these books have been listed based on my own experience.
Thank you, sir, for sharing the major areas of preparation and the study material and the strategy for preparing this examination. And it will be a great help for those who are preparing this NET JRF examination. So one last question that often asked, that one should go for coaching or not for preparing this examination?
Yes, Varsha, this is a question that is generally asked, and students are very concerned about this aspect. I can tell you with utmost certainty that self-study is required in this examination, and coaching is of not much help in this regard. What you really need is to prepare and assess yourself, and this should be a consistent and coherent phenomena. So it shouldn't be that you read one day and then for 7 days you don't read. You read, you revise, you solve question paper. And coaching is not required at all, because if you are an MA student, you are being taught everything in the class, from Indian politics to foreign policy to comparative politics, and you don't need to have certain certain analytical skill which is not natural to you for studying politics. It's something. This exam is really very easy. This exam just requires dedicated preparation, a confident mind, and a very coherent and consistent approach. I am not in favor of coaching institutes per se. I feel that self-study and self-assessment is most helpful. But one thing I wish to point out, that students should regularly solve question paper, for which if there are some online test series, don't join coaching institutes, don't take lectures or don't take study materials, because everything is available online and you can buy it from the market. Read on your own, that is most helpful. But you can join test series. Test series is most helpful because you need to be very confident. So if you are solving question papers on regular basis, that not only assesses you, but it also gives you a confidence that your preparation is going well and you are in the right direction.
Thank you so, sir, for giving the guidance to the viewers, those who are aspiring for this examination, and thank you so much for giving your valuable time.
Thank you so much, Barsha, and I want to wish this young video blogger all the best. She is my student, and I hope that one day you become a very good blogger and do something for society, something constructive. And I hope this video helps the students who are preparing for this NET and JRF examination. Thank you once again for approaching me, and I'm really indeed grateful to meet you, and thank you for this interview once
Thank you
again.
so much.